All right. Hey guys, welcome back. I had a bunch of you say, "Oh, Sarah, your new videos are so great, but we're missing some of these day in the life videos." So, this is kind of the bread and butter of what I do on my channel is just taking out my camera and sharing with you what I am up to in a particular day. For today, I feel like I needed to do a bit of a catch up and get some things done, organized, decluttered, cleaned up, food, of course, and everything in between. So I hope you enjoy. If you're new here, hey, my name is Sarah. I'm a mom of 5, and I think the kitchen is the heart of the home. Therefore, I give a lot of attention to this space and practically live in it. The first thing I wanted to do was get dishes done. The second thing was to put my linens outside. It was -5 Celsius today, which honestly, I just find when I have my linens outside on a cold day just to hang out, they feel crisp and they smell so good within a few hours. So I'm going to lay them out. I kind of have them laid scrunchy because our deck is dirty and I didn't really want them touching the deck, but I move them throughout the day and then I'm actually going to have my husband shake them out because I have wrist problems, and sometimes shaking out things are hard on certain days, and the duvet was quite heavy. So those are out there, and then I started school with my middle child. This is Elizabeth. She is fun to teach. She is so different from my other kids that I homeschool, and she's a firecracker, super spunky. And so she's sitting here doing her school. I have my makeup and my makeup bag just plopped in front of me. Whenever I can put a little bit of makeup on, I grab it, put it on, help Elizabeth with school, go back, hang out with my bread, go back to my makeup, continue to help her with school. I always tell people that a makeup vanity isn't a bad thing, but make sure your makeup is able to function on the go. I am that mom that does my makeup on the way to church in the car, and I can't tell you how convenient it is. Just keep all your makeup in a makeup bag, and you can get ready no matter where you are. So I have bagel dough in my bread machine that just came out. It was sitting overnight fermenting because it's sourdough. And then I am making a loaf of sweet artisan raisin bread. This is we would call this a bread loaf because it is baked in a bread pan, but for us it's actually a toast loaf because if we have raisin bread, we are slicing it, toasting it, and lathering it with butter and maybe cinnamon on top as well. So I'm gonna get this going. I will link my bagels as well as my sweet loaf. And have I shared my sweet loaf before? I'm not sure, but what I can link down below for recipes, I will, so you guys can recreate them. We are working on our website, you guys, which is ridiculously cool, which means from when my website launches and there on out, I will have proper cards that you guys will be able to follow and actually be able to easily make my recipes at home. If you're a Patreon, you're getting my recipes before my website comes out, and that's been really cool to share with you guys. So I stir my dough just with kind of my fingertips. I'm not kneading it. I just want to make sure there's no dry parts. It's going to be super sticky, but we're going to let it sit for about half an hour and I'll come back to it and do some stretch and folds. But for now, my bagel dough is ready. I am a huge bagel fan. Bagels of all kinds, it can be sweet, it can be savory, it can be interesting. I'm definitely that person that's picky in a lot of areas in my life when it comes to food. I'll eat pretty much anything, even things I don't like, but there are things that I definitely heartily prefer over other things. It's kind of like don't mix sweet and salty. I don't like caramel corn, don't put salt in my chocolate, please. I am that person. But when it comes to bagels, I don't know what it is, but they just kind of open a different world, and I will eat them anyway and enjoy them all day. So anyway, some of the hardest things that I actually face in my day is that I am not attentive to one task fully at a time. I am doing bagels and then I'm running over and doing homeschool, and then I'm doing bagels again and then I'm running over and cleaning something up, and then I'm doing bagels again and then I get a phone call. I find sometimes that's the hardest thing in my day that can really mentally and emotionally exhaust me. And the times that I'm able to actually start something from beginning to end and like stick with it is like, wow, that was amazing. What I'm doing here while I let my bagels rest is actually get some dinner started. This is a cold tomato sauce recipe. It's something you make in the morning and then you enjoy over pasta with some prawns or chicken in the evening. So I'm putting this together now so the flavors really develop on the countertop. I hope none of y'all are watching these videos and thinking I'm a whiz in all areas in the kitchen, because I'm not. I am really learning as I go. I feel like even sourdough sometimes is new to me because you can spend a lifetime learning about something and you're still missing out on other things in that. So I am trying to make good muffins. It is not easy for me to make muffins. My recipes are in my head, so I find muffins just tricky. I can do cookies, I can do bread, I can do scones, I can do biscuits, but when it comes to muffins, I am challenged. But I've been figuring it out. I'm feeling better. I use a lot of sourdough discard. Of course, I use butter. And so far, so good. And my kids ask for them all the time. If I've made muffins, they want them. And that's breakfast, lunch, and even after dinner snack. These ones, I'm still kind of smoothing out the wrinkles too, but it is a sourdough discard blueberry applesauce muffin with cinnamon. They're yummy. They almost taste hearty, and I am really enjoying these, and I think I'm going to actually make another batch tomorrow. I like doing the liquid on the bottom, and then I sprinkle on top the dry, and then I kind of mix up the dry on top and then incorporate the bottom. This makes it a one bowl recipe. Hands in the air, thank you, Lord. The less dishes I have to do, the better. And now it's time for me to stretch and fold my sweet bread loaf. So this sweet bread loaf, I add raisins and brown sugar and cinnamon to near the end, but I can, if I want, just leave it plain. But there's something about those raisins in there that's so good. If you are curious what my family's theme has been recently, it has been breakfast sandwiches. Everything we do is centered around breakfast sandwiches. Breakfast sandwiches have just suddenly become extremely important in the lives of my family. I am obsessed with it. They are so easy to do. I just had some sourdough buns from the dinner the night before. I heat up some Canadian bacon. I cook up eggs. We have some cheese and butter on here, and it's delicious. So I got 5 sandwiches for the 5 kids, and I actually end up whipping up a couple more sandwiches for myself and Kieran because these are very, very good. I think we ended up actually using tortillas instead of buns because I ran out of buns. My bagels are shaped and pretty much ready to go. I am boiling them in brown sugar water. Sometimes I'll add baking soda. It just makes for a really interesting crust, but this time, just brown sugar. Also, RIP to my coffee machine because I no longer have it because I accidentally dropped it on the floor and it broke. But that's okay because Kieran has been making me pour over coffees instead of me using the machine for drip coffees. So I'm practically a princess at this point, and it is so lovely to have pour over coffee in the middle of the day. If you are curious, the book I'm reading, it is The Scent of New Mown Hay. Is that what it's called? It's from the 1960s, I believe. It was a roulette book that I got at the thrift store. I randomly picked it up and thought, yeah, I'll try reading this. It's a scary book, and I don't recommend it. But once in a while when I play book roulette, it turns out really well. Not all the time, but sometimes. Not this time. So I was just trying to get through this book to know what happens, but I was like clenching my teeth the entire time. I am boiling these bagels. I boil my bagels just for a little bit, like 10 to 20 seconds aside, because I don't like the crust being too rough because my kids struggle with it. My bagels are baked. I'm tackling these dishes. I don't like letting dishes pile up. I have a double sink here, so I wash the dishes in the big sink. Little dishes that go in the dishwasher go into the small sink, and then dishes that need to be hand washed go onto a towel, and I'll tackle those right away so they're out of the way and my kitchen feels clean and complete. I also do try to wash Kieran's coffee stuff every single day because especially his mocha pot, because it can sometimes just get stuffed up. So I do like cleaning that for him every day. Do you guys remember these? I don't remember if I talked to you about them, but this is our Christmas tree branches with the dried oranges that were on our tree. I covered them in vinegar about 5 weeks ago, I guess. And now I am pouring the solution into an old cleaner bottle. I really like, some people ask what cleaners I like. Blue Land is probably my favorite. I really do like Branch Basics as well. And then this homemade cleaner is awesome. It is actually a disinfectant, so I've been loving it for my bathrooms, and whenever I'm dealing with a kind of more raw meat or a sticky substance, but it doesn't smell awesome. You would think it smells like Pine Sol. No, ma'am. It smells like mustard because of the vinegar and the mild scent of pine that's in it, but it works so well, and the smell doesn't linger, and I'm not too mad at it. All right, decluttering. I do this every single month. I go through my entire kitchen and I see what's good and what's not. What am I using? What am I not using? What's something that can be replaced? What's something that is not good for me to use anymore? So a couple things. Right off the bat, I have this wok that I got from the thrift store. I was really excited about it, but it is Teflon and it starts scratching like crazy. And I was like, no, I just can't have this. We also just have some containers we're not using. They're more like to-go containers, and we have so many, and we all work at home. Me and my husband work at home, and my kids are homeschooled, so it's not like we're using those constantly, but I do have a few. We also had some kids' cutting knives. I had tons, and I realized usually just one kid is using a knife at a time. So I really didn't need as many as I had. And while I'm going through everything, I just want to make sure everything is organized as well. I'm going through some of my wood utensils that I don't use often. The coffee grinder, Kieran got a new coffee grinder, so we were letting that one go to get a new one. The one I'm holding in my hands, that's a coffee grinder. Also, if you were like, Sarah, you got rid of one of your wooden spindles, I just don't use that one. My spindles are like spoons. There are certain spindles that are my favorite and certain spindles that are not my favorite, and that one is not my favorite. But it will be someone else's, I'm sure. A lot of what I do when I'm decluttering is just opening cupboards and looking at them. And sometimes I take out a bunch of stuff and sometimes I don't. We also get sent a bunch of things, so that's another huge reason why I declutter, because I don't want anything I don't need. I am tending to my sourdough here. I'm moving a bunch of this sourdough discard into another jar. I'm adding a little bit of it into my weck jar, and I think tonight I ended up feeding it. I also have to do a bit of a pantry restock. I'm running low on things like flour, sugar, oats, salt, baking soda, like the necessities for me. So I need to go through all of these and make sure they're restocked just because it's efficient. I stock up my pantry containers and such to make sure that I put the freshest stuff on the bottom of the containers and then the older stuff on top. So I'll do that by moving things around, putting some things in bowls, but always making sure that if I'm putting new stock into something, it is going on the bottom. And then if there's any old stuff left over, that goes on the top. Going through my sea salt, my oats. I even had to do some of my cane sugar and coconut palm sugar, some chocolate chips, some whole wheat flour. I am constantly making and baking, therefore I am constantly stocking up. Even though I tried so hard to make sure all my sugar and oats and everything stayed on the counter, it doesn't. It flies onto the floor and it's like walking on sand. So I'm taking my Dyson. Dyson, where y'all at? Sponsor your girl. What you doing? We've had our Dyson for like 4 or 5 years and it's so good. We paid for it. We enjoy it. It's fantastic. So I'm vacuuming that up because I can't live by walking on crumbs everywhere I go. I have my muffin batter that's been sitting in the fridge for a little while. I usually like it to cool overnight. This time, we had no time. So I decided just to start using it. I'm folding in some blueberries and I'm putting it into my muffin tins. You can see that I'm putting it into my muffin tins, 6 to each 12 portion tin because it lets air and more heat through it, which helps the muffins rise. See, I'm learning. Also, please enjoy these clips of Edmund trying to close the fridge. He does not like the fridge doors being open. Energy, efficiency, and the wellness of our fridge items is extremely important to him, and he is constantly trying to close the fridge. These are such funny clips to watch back. I am wiping down the fridge with a vinegar and organizing anything I need to. Some people are like, Sarah, that is so weird you organize your fridge. My fridge is more used than my wardrobe or honestly anything else in my house. Why would I not have it somewhat organized? I'm also pulling out a bottle of wine. I do not drink wine, to be honest. I think wine doesn't taste very good. It's just not my thing. But I do like it in cooking. So I cooked with it a little bit here and there, and then I didn't. And yeah, so that was a little bit of wine that went to waste. But I just don't drink wine. Anyway, I am organizing my freezer. I have my meats stocked on top, veggies, frozen goods, ham. I have a ham there, all on the bottom. Again, I need my fridge and freezer to be organized. Also, check out my muffins. They look great. I'm really happy with them. I'm also happy with my bread dough. You can see it's looking kind of glossy. It's taking shape. And something I always look for in my bread dough is when I am done with it, there's nothing on my hands. Nice and clean. This is later into the evening. If you spy the clock, it says just after 9. I'm going to finish my bread loaf here. I cut my parchment paper to the shape of my pan. This is something I learned from a really old cookbook, and then I noticed some ladies on Instagram starting to do this as well. So I think it's just getting around. It's a great way to cut up your parchment paper. You can Google it. It's awesome. On my dough, I'm adding coconut palm sugar, raisins, putting it onto my parchment, and then putting that into my loaf pan. And I'm going to cover it with a damp cloth, put it in the fridge, tidy up, and I'm going to go relax for the rest of my evening. Thank you for joining me for today's video. My next video is a raw talk through vlog style day in the life, so make sure you subscribe to stay tuned.